We talk a lot about our coaches and our unique financial tools, but where did it all start and who's behind the company and what's next for the C&D community? We have a special treat today. We have the founders of Credit and Debt, Jeff and Todd, and they're here to answer some questions about the foundation of the company, the values it was built upon, and all of the services we have to offer. So if you've had questions about credit and debt and how it works and the company's services and where it all started, stay tuned and hear it from the decision makers themselves today. Happy Friday, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to Ask Abby. My name is Abby, and we have another Friday treat for you. We have Jeff and Todd here, the founders of Credit and Debt, and they're going to talk all about the foundation of credit and debt. So we're going to bring them on, and I have a ton of questions for them. But if you all have questions that you have just been on the edge of your seat waiting to get answers for about credit and debt, what we've been talking about for the last couple of months, any of those services or questions about anything related to what we've been talking about, please don't hesitate to put those in the comment bar and we'll get them answered for you today. So I'm going to bring them on now. All right. Hello, Todd and Jeff. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thanks for having us.
Of course. All right. So we've got a lot of questions for you guys today. So I hope that you are ready because we're going to get hopefully some great answers. But my first question is that I understand we have some exciting news.
Yep. Now, Jeff, you want to kick that one off?
Yeah, it's been a year and a half endeavor, 6 months of build, and we launched our new platform, Credit and Debt, on Wednesday, and we're just super excited.
Yeah, absolutely. I did do a show on Wednesday to announce that, and I'm so excited. Like Jeff said, everybody's been working really hard on it, so it's super exciting. If you missed that show, I will go ahead and put that link to that show in the comment bar. And during that show, we just did a complete walkthrough of what the site has to offer. We go through the sign up process. So if you're curious about what information you have to provide or what kind of questions you'll be asked throughout the process, that's all in there. And then we even break down the tools for you, show you how to sync your bank accounts. So it's super cool. It's all in there and it's live and ready for you to access now. So with that in mind, with all that being launched, what I want to know is from the beginning, Todd, you have had this idea of providing financial literacy and resources for everyone. And that helped drive the creation of C&D, right? So what made you want to create the platform and what need did you see in the personal finance community?
Great question. And it's something that it's been kind of building, over 20, 30 years. I think fundamentally, there's a core question in personal finance, and it's, do you want interest working for you or do you want interest working against you, right? And a lot of people overlook that. And I come from a world of, I was taught to get a good education so you can get a good job, right? Get a good job so you can get married and do all these things in life. But I was never once taught how to manage money. And when I had moved out to California about 20 years ago, I had several $1,000s in credit card debt, not to mention some student loans from college and postgraduate school. And when I went to ask for my wife's hand in marriage, that was one of the first questions my potential father-in-law asked me. And he's like, yeah, you can't start life out that way. And I made a commitment to myself then, and I've lived to that to this very day, that I would never live in debt again, and interest would always work for me. I treat dollars like I would ask an employee, how am I going to get the most yield out of each one of those? And it's not complicated, but unless you know or were taught certain ways to manage money or manage your personal finances, it can be overwhelming at times. So I've been in this space for now almost 15, 16 years. And what I've learned in this over and above anything else is that people want options and people want people to talk to. So when you look at a company like a NerdWallet, and I think Tim Chen has done an amazing job with what he's built out, but the one thing I think he didn't put in that we have, that what makes us great, are people that you can talk to, personal financial coaches that you can talk and ask any questions about any decision. And then we can match you up with who we think is the best, the right partner for you on the backside. And in order to accomplish all this, I mean, an idea is one thing, right? But in order to execute it, you have to have people to do that, which is why, Jeff was the first person I called. Luckily, HUD introduced us many years ago. And Jeff had a startup company based in California. He was traveling and commuting from Charlotte once a month, but I knew that he was available at the time. And so I picked up the phone and called him and said, hey, I got this idea. Him and I are very much a yin and yang. And I wish that we were creative enough to come up with the name Credit and Debt and why we did this. But Jeff and I were talking earlier, and it's very true that he comes from a background of all credit related stuff. My background is all debt related stuff. So it made for a natural transition to a title of Credit and Debt. Like I said, I wish we were that creative. We're not. We'll just call it Good Karma. How about that? Go with that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Jeff, so with that in mind, bringing Jeff on to the team with that yin and yang aspect, I want to talk about, Jeff, like, what was your first thought when you thought about building this out and, that credit and debt? What was your take on all this?
Like similar to Todd, you look back in your career and there's just been, and you look back in the landscape the last 10 to 15 years, and there's been some companies that have done some amazing things and have had great growth stories. You look at Experian with the free credit report, freecreditsquare.com. You look at what Credit Karma did to disintermediate them. You look at NerdWallet, you look at the mints. Foundationally, credit and debt are very complex. And 90% of Americans don't really understand it. And these tools and the resources that these companies have provided are great, but it's all self-help. But the algorithms going into credit scoring, as you know, Abby, are incredibly complex. There's no transparency. And so trying to navigate that with self-help and apply that on a personal level, because everybody's situation is unique, where you are in your financial life cycle are different. There's no magic formula. And the thing that I've struggled with, and where Todd and I in many ways are kindred spirits, it's that commitment, that mission to help people navigate something that's very complex with limited transparency, and provide tools and resources to help them do that. And it's been a mission and a passion of mine, like Todd's, for many, many years. We've watched these companies grow and had incredible success, but they still aren't solving for this gap, which is helping people, really helping people. They provide people information, and good information and useful information, but they don't help you apply that information. And that's the difference with us. And just as we started talking about this, the idea of the gap in the marketplace, as Todd just said, it was a perfect match, personality wise, culture wise, background wise. And it's been nothing but even getting better every single day. So super excited for the opportunity with the launch. It's something that we've worked really, hard for, but it's just the beginning of where we're going. And we're so excited about the future of the company.
Yeah. Definitely. That's one of the things that I try to talk about too on Ask Abby is there's so much information out there. You can find the answer to everything. Any financial question that you have, it's out there. But especially in times like this, when the news is coming out so quickly, there's different resources out there for you, but where do you go to look? It's just hard to navigate that world, and it's getting harder. It's not getting any easier. So having a platform where it helps you do that and navigate those difficult situations, whether it's financially or, things like unemployment are huge right now. And that's why I always say, if you have questions, just ask me, because I'll do the digging for you. That's the hardest part. All the information's out there, but it's just finding the right information, looking in the right place. So with that being said, I want to dive a little bit into our platform. So can one of you walk us through the features on the new site? What does Credit and Debt have to offer everybody, like we've been talking about?
Do you want me to take that, or would you like to?
No,
yeah, all right.
More than technical, I'll be the color, my friend.
I like being the color commentator. No, it's okay. Tying in with what I just said, we're not naive enough to think that everybody wants to talk to somebody, because they don't. And they, so we need to make sure that we're solving for the many, and we're providing resources regardless of your personal preference. If you want to talk to somebody, we want to make sure that we have live coaches that are able to help you in a vulnerable way, share information, confidential information, and we're going to guide you to solutions. But just as importantly, we need tools and resources to not only supplement the coaches, but enable you as a consumer to self-help. And we want to do it in a very different way. As we just mentioned, some of the competitive offerings out there really focus on providing you articles or content or your credit score or changes in your credit information. But what they're not doing is tying in all your banking information, and your data is foundational to making smart decisions, your banking data, your credit card data, and having one platform that enables you to synchronize all those together and simplify that process so you have a full picture is what we've built. So, our platform enables you not only to sync all that information, but we provide you tools and automation to help provide you insight into making smarter decisions, looking at your income versus your expenses. It sounds very basic, but when you start breaking down your expenses, some of the tools out there may give you like 60 categories that are complex, and you're like, it's overwhelming. We've tried to simplify that down into what's meaningful and what we believe you're going to use on a daily basis and apply to you, and compare what you're making to what you're spending. And even more importantly, spending smartly. There's ratios out there that mortgage companies use illustratively when you go to buy a home about your debt to income ratio. There's a reason for that. So we take some of those common known ratios and apply them to the data that you either synchronize or manually put in to give you tools and resources. We can enable you to track your debt. We enable you to track your cash flow. Most people thinking of a cash flow analysis is overwhelming and complex, but it's really interesting on a month-over-month basis to simply understand what you're making and where you're spending it. We give you those tools and resources. At the same time, we enable you to really look at your debt. And is it beneficial? As Todd said, having debt's not a bad thing. For some people it is, and they don't want any. But for others, using debt wisely is a really good thing. So we provide you tools to evaluate whether keeping that debt, how you leverage debt, if you want to pay that debt off early, how does that impact you? So those are some of the highlights.
Yeah, definitely. That's awesome. Todd, does this all, how does this all tie into your original vision of providing personal finance for everyone? I think one of the things that I think about is, there are all those financial terms out there that really don't make sense to people. So how does this simplify it?
If you look at the site, itself, and if you look at the tool, it's a very simple tool. It's a very simple process, right? And I think that's kind of the going trend today in fintech. When you look at different sites and different companies across the board, they've taken these more jumbled site and made it very, very easy, streamlined, clean, simple to use, right? It's just kind of a click through 1, 2, 3 type process. And I think that's what most people want. I'm not sure they're ever going to say that out loud, but simple is good. Simple is easy. We want curious people. We want people to ask questions. And for us, when we go into site design, we're not afraid to try different things. We're not afraid to fail. We're not afraid to ask a wrong question, because we learn from each one of those steps. And even at 51 years old, I'm still learning about things that I thought I knew before, but I only had a basic understanding of. And when you can break a complex item down into a few simple steps, it just makes things that much more easier. You can make a better informed decision. You can keep yourself out of trouble. And that's what we're trying to achieve. We want to be along the ride for everyone's personal financial journey. And ultimately, when the site is completely built out, there shouldn't be any issue from a personal financial situation that any consumer would have that we would not be able to address and or help with a matched partner on the backside, right? And that's the goal. We'd like to keep them for life. We'd like them to use our site, our site as kind of like a cycle of life. Where are you in your financial journey? Is there something else we could help you with? Is there something that we're not helping you with that would be a great idea to help you with, right? All these things, but at the end of the day, we take all that information. We have a great team behind us, and they're able to break those items down and keep things very simple on a fundamental basis. So yeah, I think we're achieving it and we're learning as we go. And I think that's the most exciting part about it.
Yeah, definitely. When you said not a lot of people will admit that they want simple, I'm the first one. Anybody can look at their bank statement and pull out, I spent, this is food, like $2 here, $10 here, and let's put it all into but if you can plug it all in and just go with it, that's the best way to do it, right? And that's why the technology is now available, which is awesome. So why not simplify it? I'm the first one to say, I want it to be simple. I don't want to have to go through the spreadsheets anymore and update my Excel budget. This just makes it really easy. So speaking of simple, with that in mind, when you're going through the sign up process, you can click either increase your credit or reduce your debt. So I know that a lot of different things fall into those categories. Just about every financial goal can almost be summed up in those two categories, whether you're looking to buy a home to increase your credit, right? Or, you have too much student loan debt, you might want to reduce your overall debt. So it's really simple to create those two financial goals and have everything kind of fit in those buckets. But either way, it's great to have an overview of your finances. And how does this platform help someone who has a lower credit score, let's say in the 500s, and they choose the option to increase credit? How does that help?
Todd, you want me to take this one?
Yes, sir.
All right. So, it's interesting. And you use the example of somebody that has a 500 credit score, but the reality is I like to characterize 4 macro level buckets of individuals with credit. You have individuals that are trying to build credit for the first time. And there's a lot of folks, but as Todd said, how did the far majority of society learn how to manage their credit? Trial and error, because you don't have somebody teaching you. And what does that mean? Go look at college students across the US, young professionals. They have really challenged credit because they made poor decisions. So take somebody that's trying to build their credit for the first time and teach them the right ways. We can do that. We have tools, we have resources, we have coaches. So if your goal is to, okay, I want to open my first credit card. I go to apply for a student loan and I get denied. What can I do? What can I do to start responsibly building my credit? So in a year, and we've got great success stories, Abby, that you're aware of, and Todd, that, in literally a year, you can take somebody with no credit that hasn't done anything in the past, and they could have a 750 credit score. So we really help that individual. We have individuals that are trying to improve their credit or rebuild their credit. Pardon me. A lot of folks, as Todd referenced as well, have been challenged with credit by making either a bad decision, which happens. We learn from it. We try not to replicate it. Or 2, market-related events like COVID, things out of your control. And it's just the reality, unfortunately, of what happens. Again, with that segment, we have lots of resources to help you understand what your options are, making smart decisions, understanding how credit reporting even works, and how to build off that and make some smarter decisions, what you can do, what your rights are, and how to lever that. Had a coaching session yesterday, perfect example, and just walking somebody through personally their credit report and understanding what's there that they don't even understand, and making some smarter decisions both in the short and long term, with the goal of, in 6 months, trying to get somebody's credit score up 100 points. And it's very reasonable if you do that the right way. You have the third category, which is the improver. Call it the mid 600s to the mid 700s. That's the majority of people across the US. They just don't, their credit's not bad. They just don't know how to build off that. So again, our coaches, our tools, it's really focused on enabling individuals to make those next steps in changing their utilization rates, changing the credit lines that they have, how they're utilizing them, the balance with their credit, not canceling old cards because they're not using them. Just some simple, basic strategies that seem basic or simple to us, most people don't understand. So that's what we want to do, is guide you on that journey. And then you have the maintainers. And part of that is people that have really good credit. We want to help be your watchful eye to make sure that if anything changes in your credit, we're able to proactively identify that and help you mitigate any of the risk of that decreasing. So from a credit perspective, lots of tools, lots of resources. Most importantly, again, our coaches can take your personal situation, understand the credit bureaus and the algorithms, and help make smarter decisions based on where you are, what your short and long-term goals are.
It's fantastic. Yeah. To be able to help anybody in any spectrum of those. I always joke, and I've told this story a bunch, but when I started building credit, it was not intentional. I was walking through the airport and I was probably 18, and some lady asked me if I wanted to get 60,000 bonus miles. And I said, absolutely, I would love to do that. And I had no idea until I was all the way through the process that I had opened my first credit card. So I think a lot of people are in that same boat. Before they even start thinking about credit, they have it and they don't know where they sit or how to improve it. And I think that that happens probably more often than most people would like to admit, right?
That's
So,
right. Or the fees, the interest rates you charge. I mean, there's so many variables tied to that as well, that just being smarter on what your options are. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. So you talked about, though, too, Jeff, I just wanted to ask, because you said that with all the stuff going on right now, there are our coaches can help and our platform can help. So my question is, does the platform include things like car payments, mortgages, loan payments? Does it have everything?
It does. And from a credit and a debt perspective, I'd say it's very comprehensive. And we are trying to enable you, as you and Todd said very eloquently, make it simple. We're giving you options. So if you want to just go in, sign up, and push a button, it will synchronize all that data for you into one summary, and you'll have all that at your fingertips. If you prefer to go in manually and input that stuff, you can do that as well, but it enables you to have access and visibility into all of those things. As Todd referenced, and I don't, not getting ahead of ourselves, but we are also continually, we want to hear that feedback. We have our blueprint, our roadmap of where we're going, and we're going to continue to add and layer in additional financial resources and products to create even more robust experience beyond just your basic credit and debt.
Yeah, that's exciting. So I want to go back a little bit into the coaching process. I've talked a lot about coaching on Ask Abby. You guys have mentioned it a little bit here today, but I know that everybody who signs up gets access to personal financial help through Credit and Debt's coaches. So how does the coaching process work, and is it really free is the big question. I mention that all the time, but how does it work?
Yeah, so if a consumer calls in, whether you come to us, through an ad or through our website, the initial question is, to the consumer is, what can we help you with? And they help define and narrow down that actual situation. So a consumer could call in and go, I want to buy a house, but the real issue is I have a problem with my credit, and how do I improve that in order to buy a house? So we have a session that we can take them through, and we look at a snapshot of their personal situation. It takes about 30 minutes. Yes, the session is absolutely free, but more importantly, above everything else, we educate the consumer on everything that's going on in their life from a personal financial situation, right? And it's empowering, because whether they're going to admit it or not, there are certain things within their personal life on a financial side that they truly don't understand. It could be what affects your credit score. Wow, I didn't know I had this many credit cards. Wow, I didn't know that I was only making minimum payments. I'm going to be paying these off for the rest of my life, and I'm never going to be able to buy a house. But we can actually show them and give them the tools in order to do it themselves on how to effectively do that and make the right changes in their life to become, on kind of what I would say the other side of the interest fence. So interest is now working for me and not against me, right? And those are two fundamentally different things. But when they understand that and they feel empowered to do it, that's a huge transitional moment in their life, because they take that next step into what I would call more of a positive financial outlook. People that can't admit or understand certain terms, from my previous life, I can tell you that less than, about 52% of all consumers nationwide have never put a pen to paper and made a budget. They cannot tell you what goes out and what comes in every month, but more importantly, is it a positive or a negative, right? And a lot of times they understand that during this process. So we give them the tools to help understand that, empower them to make their own decisions. And then we can partner them either in-house or with partners that we have established, that we've vetted over a course of a year or so. And we help them take that next leap to get to where they need to go and to fully understand what the original question was when they called in, not what they think it was.
Yeah, definitely. And you did mention a lot of people don't know what goes out and what comes in when it comes to their budget. I do just want to say this tool, that this credit and debt platform, all you have to do is sync your bank account and that pops up for you. So it's super cool. I went over it in Wednesday's show, but it's as simple as a couple clicks of a button and you'll know whether you're on the positive or the negative side. So that's really cool. And it makes it really simple for people, for everyone, really. I mean, there's nobody who couldn't benefit from seeing that in a simplistic form. So with that in mind, I'm curious, with the coaching, offering free coaching, why? Why is that so important to credit and debt's core values?
Well, I think it's more than important. It's fundamental to what Jeff and I are trying to accomplish. I think a lot of the companies that we talked about earlier and that, we really like what they're doing, and you can invest in two ways. You can invest in infrastructure, technology platform type stuff, or you can invest in people. We've chosen to invest in people, not only the people that work for us, but the people that we're trying to help. We think that long term, that's where we're going to get the most gain. And that's what it takes, right? It's going to be a slower start. We understand that, but we want to do it the right way. We want to invest in the right areas. And it's one thing to have access to information. It's another thing to have an individual who's well educated in those areas to help you better understand it and give you the tools necessary for you to go out and make a more positive impact in your finances. That's key to what we're trying to do. And that's that's the underlying premise. And we hope to continue that methodology, kind of throughout our transition and our growth.
Yeah, to build off that, and exactly 100% right. So many companies are focused on driving traffic and making a quick dollar. And they've done a great job with driving a lot of traffic, building memberships up. They've got incredible market capitalizations, give them a lot of credit. The gap and the fundamental foundational thing that has brought Todd and I together and drives us with our passion and our mission every day is helping people and helping people with the complex. When you combine the backgrounds of Todd and I, what we've done that most companies have struggled with is understand how to do this also in a very scalable and replicatable way. And so companies that we've mentioned have all shied away from the worry about having large labor forces and the inconsistencies that can be created in doing something like this. We've got decades of experience between us that gives us and has enabled us to have the foundation to do this not only very consistently, very successfully, in a way that economically works. We are less worried about making the maximum margin per customer, and we're really focused on building long-term trusted relationships. When you think about the fintech play, the foundation is technology, but as Todd said, the difference is the people. And it's not just our team and the culture, but it's the customers that we're working with. Building that trust, we know if we help them, genuinely help them with something that they're so vulnerable with, we've got customers for life. And the people are going to make that difference.
Yep.
Yeah,
exactly
that's
right.
awesome. I do think, the combination of having the resource for people to talk to a coach and have that personable aspect is huge, but then you also have the tools that follow you along the way and you can access anytime, right? So with that in mind, I have just one question, because we've talked a lot about those other websites out there. We've talked about the Nerd Wallets, we've talked about the Credit Karmas, the Mints, all those have websites too. Obviously, the coaching is huge. That's the biggest difference. But from the website perspective, is there a difference between credit and debt and the Nerd Wallets and the Mints and the Credit Karma?
Yeah, 100%. So it's, look at Credit Karma, look at Nerd Wallet. Look at LendingTree with my LendingTree. They use credit data as kind of their hook. Let's just call it what it is. And they're going to give you free credit scores. They're going to give you some basic credit reports or credit monitoring, pardon me, and ultimately enable you to have access to fluctuations or changes in your credit data, supplement that with educational material, and then basically say good luck. And we're going to market the heck out of you with credit card offers and hope that something is meaningful that you're going to click on. I mean, at the core of what they all do, they each have a little bit different, and we are not negating anything they do because they all add value. But the missing piece, it's that personal financial tool that gives you ready access to your information. Again, as you have said, it's at the push of a button. You can synchronize information and provide you systematic electronic recommendations to make smarter financial decisions. It's all about, Todd said it over and over in this call, empowering consumers to be smarter, to feel educated, and make those smarter decisions. So you understand what's a good decision, what's a bad decision. And oh, by the way, if you have a question, that's where our coaches come into play.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's awesome. So it sounds almost like not only is it showing you your current data, but it has that recommendation engine that says you're spending too much here, or it's actionable. You can actually look at that information, unlike some other places where you might just plug and go. It works with you along the way. And if you make improvements, it'll show you that. If you're going the wrong direction, it'll show you that too.
That's a perfect summary. It provides we built a recommendation engine, and we'll continue to build upon that. That's going to personalize your information, or take your personal information and give you unique strategies and recommendations.
Yep. That's
super exciting. Obviously, I'm already signed up. You guys are signed up, but just in case it's unclear for anybody out there, I just want to make it very clear. Can you please tell us how much it costs to join the C&D community?
Todd, you talk and I'll use sign language.
Yeah, it's $0.
$0. Perfect. I feel like we've made that pretty clear, but just in case you just tuned in or you've missed it somewhere along the way, it is absolutely free to join this platform. It's absolutely free to sync your accounts, get those recommendations, and talk to your coaches. So,
Abby, one thing I'd like to add to that.
Yeah.
So many sites say they're free, but you still have to put a credit card in. There's none of that. This is in every aspect of what we do, it's free. There's no cost, there's no credit cards. We're not asking you to give us the ability to charge something in the future. So I just want to be abundantly clear. It's not just this notion of free on the front end, but you start getting charged on the back end. It's entirely free. We will never ask you for a credit card.
Yep.
That's
important. Call our bluff, sign up, see for yourself.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's important though. That's true. So many sites you have to still plug in, and then there's little fine print at the bottom that says in 30 days, we're going to start charging you a subscription. So there's none of that. That's great to know. So the last big question I have is, what does the future hold for C&D, for your team, for the company, for the consumers? Do you have plans? You mentioned that you hinted towards it a little bit, that you're going to keep building upon, but what does that mean? What are the plans and ideas to add to this site and the services that you have to offer?
Yeah, so we're still in the early stages. We talk about this all the time. Building out the site is priority one. Credit and debt is where we wanted to start because that's where the expertise was. That's what we know how to do very well. But then we open it up to the broader market. There could be insurance needs. There could be banking needs. There could be potential credit card needs. But we're going to listen to our consumers. We're going to listen to the general public. We're going to package that with relationships that we have or that we're currently building. But it all comes down to the individuals that we're talking to and the individuals that we're working with, right? Jeff and I put a lot of time, energy, and effort in who we work with. It's very important to us that we have the right partners. We will take months, if not a year, to vet those individuals. And we're not going to match one of our customers with anybody that we don't fully trust that does business the way we do. So that's a process in and of itself, and it takes time. As we build these tools out and build our team out, the site, the company, and everything that goes with that will continue to build as well. So I'm excited about it, very excited.
Absolutely. To echo those comments, and so in parallel, we're focused, I mentioned a few minutes ago about replicatable. So obviously, the more of you that sign up, the more of a consistent, great experience we want to make sure we're providing. So we're continuing to build out the team, and we're going to make sure the culture doesn't change ever. It's paramount to Todd. It's paramount to me. It's paramount to the organization. Abby's, you can attest. It's all about the people. And so it's equally important that as we continue to grow and build our team, you will have a consistently great experience, no matter whether you join today or tomorrow. In parallel, as Todd said, we are going to continue to expand the breadth and depth of the financial services that we make you available. It's all about your financial journey. And where are you? Are you a first-time home buyer? Are you trying to refinance your home? Are you just trying to learn about real estate? Are you trying to get your first credit card? Are you trying to get a personal loan or a debt consolidation loan? All of these solutions tie into different stages of where you could be. And we're going to continue to build out your ready access to those services with great education. And as Todd mentioned, make sure that the partners that we do align, when it's the service that we don't provide directly ourselves, we've got an incredibly trusted, vetted relationship to represent you. So when we hand you off, we know you're going to have a consistently great experience.
That's awesome. So we're kind of coming up on time now. So I just want to ask or give you the opportunity. Is there anything else you want to share with our audience, the C&D family, anything else that you would like them to know about the platform or the company?
I'll take this one really quickly. This has been something that's been, percolating for years. I'm glad that I was able to reach out to Jeff, and he was equally excited and had the passion to do this with me. It's fun to, I don't want to use the word disruptor, but it's fun to try to accomplish something different than what's being done in the industry today. Like Jeff, well-educated, have a degree in economics, understand global economies and all that good stuff, right? But even with a background in that type of stuff, it's still easy to make a mistake along your financial journey. And it can be something very simple. And we want to help try to shore up that gap, right? And we want to be a trusted, valued partner that you could come to and ask those types of questions and work through anything that maybe you did never talk to your parents about growing up, or you don't have a family member that you can talk to them about those things, right? It's a safe place. It's transparent. It's simple. It's honest. It's easy. And it truly helps. And I think that what we have created and what the journey that we're about to embark on is unbelievable. And I cannot wait to see next year, 3 years, 5 years down the road. That's what I'm most excited about.
Absolutely.
I think I don't have a whole lot to add to that. You said it incredibly well and eloquently, and it's all about the passion and commitment at the top that I think if nothing else, you can see and you can feel. We are so committed to this and live it and breathe it every day. And, I know you were reticent about using it, but I will. We love to be a disruptor. We believe this is a gap in the marketplace. I'm that's yin and yang. That's me. Todd's the nice guy. But the market needs this. We've been working towards this for at least a decade each. And we are so excited, but it's one step in the journey. Not only does the market need it, you as the consumer needs this. Finance is a very difficult place to trust somebody. It's a very difficult place to be vulnerable because you feel like I made a mistake and I don't want to tell anybody, or I don't want to ask a question that someone's going to think is dumb. You can let your guard down here that's what we deal with every day. And I promise we've heard worse stories, worse questions, and we're here to understand, to empathize, to help you, to guide you. And there's no strings attached. You can't find that anywhere else.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's super important. Well, that's all the time we have for today. So Todd, Jeff, thank you so very much for coming on the show. I think that this gives some great insight to those people who've been watching the show for months and been waiting for the platform to come out and have access to it. So thank you so much for giving us those insights and the little secrets into where this all started and how we can help. So with that in mind, I do just want to say, if you haven't signed up yet on creditanddebt.org, you can use this link. We did this on Wednesday too, but I'm going to give you another chance. So if you use the link that I'm putting in the comment bar now, that's in there. Use that link. You'll receive a $10 Amazon e-gift card. We'll just email it to you. And it's absolutely free to sign up. There's no purchase necessary. There's nothing you have to do except for sign up and you'll get your gift card. So we want you to use this platform. We think it will help you. And I think that that's the biggest thing. Also, if you have any questions for me, for Todd, for Jeff, moving forward about the company, about our services, about the platform, about anything, you can comment on this post. You can reach out to us on Facebook Messenger, or you can always email me at askabby@creditanddebt.org. Last thing is, next week, we're going to start a brand new series on Ask Abby. So make sure to tune in on Wednesday at 12:30 Pacific. We're going to have a great show for you. We're going to start a great new series. So this has all been so fun. Thank you again, Todd and Jeff. And we will see everybody else next week on Ask Abby.
Thanks, Abby.
Thanks,
Thank
Abby.
you.